Hi, welcome to week 3 in our church history class. And I know that as we start moving towards this period of time, going even into the Middle Ages and what have you, it can seem to be a bit dry because everybody wants to jump straight ahead to the Reformation. But history is history, and so we take it on its own terms. And this week, week 3, the survey of church history class covers the age of the Christian Empire. And probably the most significant pivotal change is that Constantine, who was the Roman emperor at the time, he had what appeared to be a conversion to Christianity. Now, there are many scholars who would suggest that maybe his conversion was more opportunistic and political than it was genuine and heartfelt. We have no idea. We can't judge a person's heart. One thing we can say is that at that point, Christianity was no longer marginalized and no longer a persecuted subset, but Christianity became the religion of the empire. With the negatives, of course, Christianity was married with the empire, and one could say that the trappings of the Roman Empire became the trappings of Christian ecclesiology and the hierarchy, and what we think of as the Roman Church today draws a lot of their history from that period of time. But at the same time, if you think about it, when Christianity was now legal, the public meetings became larger and more people heard about the gospel, and there was a great expansion of the church. And so that also enabled the church to speak publicly to some of the main doctrines of the church. And you know, you think of the canon and some of the early creeds, the Christological and Trinitarian response, and even the heresies that developed. I will tell you one thing to make this period of church history a little more interesting. The person that we think of as St. Nicholas, aka Santa Claus, was an early Christian bishop, and according to legend, whether or not it's true, I don't know, but I like to think it's true. According to legend, at one of the councils of the early church, when Arius, the heretic, later determined as a heretic who denied the deity of Christ and denied the Trinity, when he was speaking, Nicholas became so incensed at the end of the meeting, he went up and he hit or clobbered Arius, the heretic, in the face. And so I just think that's kind of a funny spin on Santa Claus, because when he's not delivering presents, he's punching out heretics. So you can take that one or leave it, but it shows you that if you dig deep enough, church history isn't always that boring. So we're going to talk about the 4 ecumenical councils, the creeds that came up, and then we're going to trace the rise of monasticism and its impact on the church. And for this, I just want to take a moment and say this. When I was taking a church history class many, many years ago at Fuller Theological Seminary, where I got my MDiv, I remember a professor talking to us. We were peppering him with questions. It was early medieval church history. And we said, you know, did the flame of the Holy Spirit completely extinguish during that period of time? And he quickly said, no. He said, God has always been moving in his church. And he said, when you start getting into the medieval period, if you want to see where the evangelicals are, where the people that have a passion for God and where the flame of evangelism is, he said, you look to monasticism, you look to the monks, you look to the early Christian orders, because those were people who were willing to forsake all and follow Christ. So it's actually a tremendous period of time when people really, really focused on serving Jesus and being like Jesus. Well, of course, we've got our 2 books for all of our students, undergrad and graduate. We've got Bruce Shelley's wonderful Church History in Plain Language. Just a very thorough and great book, and I hope you're enjoying it. For the graduate students, we have Christianity, the Biography by Ian Shaw, and Ian does more of a narration approach, and it's just also a great book. So let's just continue on, plug through, and let's look for those little sparks of life as we look at this period of Christianity and the history of the church. And I'll see you guys in the discussion threads.